Okay, everyone, good evening. We are into the third class of environment ecology, and as I started the topics in the previous classes on the topic of the ecological aspect, we'll continue doing that. See, from UPSC point of view, from the prelims examination, in the prelims exam, like continuously from 2011 to 2015. If you look at the questions there, you'll find the question has been asked on ecosystem concept there. Like ecosystem, then you have a food chain question. There are continuously UPSC has asked question on food chain. Then it has also asked question on biogeochemical cycle. You'll find there is a question on carbon cycle. Right, this question has been asked on the examination in terms of the carbon cycle there. Carbon cycle and this question. Then you will find another concept, ecosystem productivity. Ecosystem productivity. That again, in this topic, the question has been asked. Right? Decomposers of food chain and all this. These all questions have been asked in the exam. But again, from 2015, if you look at from 2015 to 2020 exam, right? If you see the trend of the last 5-year exam, now since initially the UPSC asked a lot of questions from ecological concept there. But now 2015-2020, you don't find the questions being asked from such areas. Right? There's a trend in the exam that initially some of the topics UPSC keep on asking lots of questions. And then what happens is that once those areas questions have been asked, UPSC stop asking questions. So here again, you not find the questions on any of these areas. These have been out. But only this one, carbon cycle, biogeochemical cycle, you will find question on this area. Nitrogen cycle in this part, you will find that. But sometimes there may be indirect question. There may be sometimes indirect question asked in the examination, linked with this concept there, right? So I have told every class that we have to go in a sequential order. I am teaching the topic in such a way, I am going from a basic area and then slowly will go to the fundamental concept. Like wildlife, biodiversity, threatened species, national park, sanctuary, biosphere reserve. I will be building upon that. So I don't want to go directly first into the concept of climate change or ozone depletion or biodiversity topic. We'll build upon those topics one by one. Right? We will be going to such topics one by one. It will not be all of a sudden. So that's what we have started with the subject, and we'll first complete this area. These are just a static part, theory part. We'll first focus on these areas, complete this one. Once it is done, then we'll go to advanced area. Then we'll go into the areas, topics which are more, high level topics of biodiversity part, climate change, and those areas will cover there. Right? So that's what I had given you the understanding part. Now let's come to this part. Today I am going to cover following topics, and there can be possibility that question can be asked. So topics of the class, the topics which we are going to learn in today's class, we will first focus on the topic of ecosystem productivity. We will discuss in the classroom ecological system productivity is one topic. Will come to that. Second topic in the classroom will be in terms of biotic interaction, biological interactions and biotic interactions. We will cover in the classroom biotic interactions. Third topic in the classroom will be on ecological succession. We will discuss the concept of ecological succession. Right, this is another topic where UPSC can ask question. You have to always see which are those topics in the syllabus where UPSC has not asked question, so that the possibility of the question in the exam can be there. Then fourth topic which comes here, that is a nutrient cycle. Nutrient cycling or biogeochemical cycle. And I have already mentioned that these are the part of the functions. Right, this comes from the functions of ecosystem. Right. So at least you know the direction. What I want to convey in the classroom is that you know the direction in which the topics are being dealt in the classroom. And we'll see from the question point of view. Let's say, for example, if I ask a question, for example, you get a question in the examination, which of following, let's say you have a question in the exam, which of following is, let's say, has or have, which of following has or have high level of ecosystem productivity. Let's say this is the way question can be asked in the exam. See, UPSC is not going to ask you the definition part of it, right? It define ecosystem productivity, or define NPP, net primary productivity, or define GPP. That will not be asked. You will be asked question based on the application part. And let's say if I give you a choice here, for example, mangrove forest. Let's say first choice is mangrove forest. Second choice I am giving you coral reef. Third one here you have a, let's say, lagoon. Right? Chilika lagoon or Pulicat lagoon. Right? Fourth choice which you get here, that is in terms of, let's say, lakes. Right? Lake as an example. Sometimes certain lagoon can also be like lake, and then you have given the option here A, 1 and 4. B, let's say the option is B, 2, 3 and 4. Right? 2, 3 and 4. And then you have an option here C, 1, 2 and 3, and D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So what would be the answer here? See, that's what I've started with a question in the classroom to make the class interactive. Last class we have already covered bio-geo, this one biological accumulation, bioaccumulation, law of 10%. All these topics are very important for the examination. And it's not only UPSC exam. Whichever competitive exams you appear, there can be question asked on that. So what will be answer here? If question comes here, what answer you will take there? Many of you are giving answer as a D as an answer. I can see all your responses there. You are giving D as an answer there. Alright. Saksham has given C as an answer. Few people are giving C as an answer. Ayushi has given C as an answer. Then Purvi has given C answer. But many of you are giving D as an answer. All of you just type in the response. I am able to see your response. Right, response portal is in front of me. And say, let's say this question comes in the exam. So, according to you, what can be the correct answer? Where the UPSC can ask, if the UPSC asks question, what could be the correct answer in that? Okay. Now, Ravi Mohan is saying B as an answer. Ravi is saying B as an answer. Chetram is giving A as an answer. Sonal is giving A as an answer. Nikhil is giving C as an answer. Vishwakarma is saying don't know. Ajit is saying C as an answer. Sudha Thakur D as an answer. Humaira is giving D as an answer. B as an answer there. Gaurav Singh is saying C as an answer. Kirti has given A as an answer. So I am getting the mixed response from your side, and most of you are between C and D. So let's look into that. Now let's consider that. Mangrove forest, if you look at, right, mangrove forest, I have already mentioned that it's like almost like a place which is between land and the water. See, mangrove forest is green in color. You have mangrove plants. If you look at mangrove plants there, right, they are green plants and they are capable of doing photosynthesis. They carry out photosynthesis by which they prepare the food. Right, the photosynthesis, the source of energy, it comes from there. So mangrove forest is a very dense forest. Like for example, if you take the example, let us Sundarban. Sundarban's delta. Sundarban's delta, right, West Bengal and Bangladesh there. Then Bhitarkanika. In Odisha, there's a place called Bhitarkanika. Bhitarkanika mangrove is known for mangrove forest. When you go to Tamil Nadu, then Gulf of Mannar, Dhanushkodi or Rameswaram, there you have a Gulf of Mannar. In Gujarat, Gulf of Kutch. We have so many places on the coastal states where we have a mangrove forest. So mangrove forest is very dense and they have a high level there. Coral reef. Coral reef is said to be rainforest of sea and ocean. It's said to be rainforest of sea and ocean. Because the coral is a marine animal. Corals are marine animals. In the body of the coral, this is called coral polyp. Polyp of the coral, the structure by which the corals are made, polyp. Within that you have a algae, marine algae or algae, zooxanthellae. And this algae, marine algae carry out the photosynthesis. So coral reef you look at, here corals have symbiotic, in this case you have, corals have got symbiotic relation with marine algae. This marine algae which is taken by the coral polyp, and this marine algae, right, this marine algae carries out the photosynthesis, is able to tap the energy and convert into chemical form, right. So coral is also high level of production of biomass. What is productivity? Which is generate high level of biomass. Now coming to lagoon. Lagoon as a kind of ecosystem. See, lagoon you will find brackish to saline. Let's take for example in India, if we take about lagoon here, Chilika lagoon is the largest lake, right, and you will find such kind of lagoon, Chilika lagoon. Then we have another one, Pulicat lake or Pulicat lagoon, that is in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, bordering the two states, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. You have a large lake called Pulicat lake, right. Now they are again very fertile in the case, productive in the case, because they have a nutrient. The nutrients which come there, growth of the plants, you will have aquatic plants, submerged plants, floating plants, aquatic plants. So lagoon also comes into high level. Estuary, delta, lagoon, right, these are all highly productive ecosystem. Now comes the doubt, lake. Where the lakes will come in general. If you take lakes in general, when you talk about lakes, they are in general, all lakes are not very fertile or not very productive. All lakes will not be very productive, right. Some types of lakes which are like lagoon, or let's say they become the wetland, land covered with water. So wetland like swampy areas, marshy areas, there the level of photosynthesis will be higher because of the vegetation, because of the presence of the plants, right. But all lakes are not there. All lakes will not come into that. Lakes have got medium level of productivity. These all three has got high level of production of biomass. What is biomass? Biomass is the, basically if you talk about biomass is basically organic matter. More amount of organic matter is produced with the help of photosynthesis. But lake has got a medium level. Lake comes here, medium level. Based on the nutrient, it has a medium level of production of biomass. So the correct answer is C as an answer. 1, 2 and 3. In this question, the correct answer is C as an answer. What I said, all lakes are not a lagoon. All lakes are not very productive ecosystem, right? Certain type of lakes will be there, but in general, lakes when we take, we call lake as a medium level of productivity of biomass. There it comes into that, right? So all of you who are saying D as an answer, okay, ये volume थोड़ा कम कर दीजिए आप. कोई स्टूडेंट कह रहा है volume. Shagun Garg, अच्छा नहीं, to increase the volume increase करने के लिए कहा जा रहा है, right? I have taken your request. I have requested the technical team to increase the volume. So they are increasing the volume there. So in that context, the C as an answer is the part which will come into that, right? Ecosystem productivity part of it, where more biomass generation and all comes into that. So now if you look at here, the concept what we are going to learn in the classroom, right? So I'll now go into that part. So answer will be C as an answer. Lakes in general lakes have medium level of production of biomass, medium level, not high level. So we'll do one thing here. We'll go to the concept here. I've started with this. I'll now take you to the concept part of it. You'll understand with the example and everything. You'll be able to understand that, right? Okay, do one thing here. I'll do one thing here. Since most of you are there, so now give a heading there. Just give a there was a question asked in 2013 exam on ecosystem productivity. So let's now go to the part of the class notes also there. Just give a heading in your note copy. Just in note copy, give a heading there. And now you can write there. Just write there. Right. Ecosystem productivity. Ecosystem productivity refers to ecosystem productivity refers to generation of biomass or energy, storage of energy, generation of biomass or storage of energy per unit area, storage of energy per unit area, per unit time, per unit area, per unit time. Give a full stop there. Give a full stop there. Same paragraph you write this. Different types of ecosystems generate different amounts of biomass. Different types of ecosystem generate different amounts of biomass depending upon the rate of photosynthesis. Depending upon the rate of photosynthesis by the producers. Rate of photosynthesis by the producers of ecosystems. Rate of photosynthesis by the producers of ecosystems. Now give a full stop there. I'll now make you understand. Give a full stop there. What do you mean by the term ecosystem productivity? Ecosystem productivity means there how much biological mass, organic matter is generated, is produced in a given ecosystem. Let's say forest, grassland, river, lakes, whatever example you take there. Or how much is the energy which gets locked up, stored in a given time and given area. That means per unit area, per unit time. So we are talking about rate, R-A-T-E, rate. And different ecosystem will generate different amount. Again, that depends on photosynthesis. Right? The primary source of energy is photosynthesis, sunlight. How much carbohydrate? How much carbohydrate is made by producers? Who are the producers? We have discussed in the last class. Plants, grasses, algae, phytoplanktons, right? They are called producers, right? Now, one more thing you could write. It is usually expressed in kilocalorie. It is usually expressed in kilocalorie per square meter per year, right? Or you can say kilojoule per square meter per year. In terms of energy, right, is usually expressed in kilocalorie per square meter per year or kilojoule per square meter per year, right, in terms of energy, in terms of energy. When we look into from the storage of energy and in terms of energy. Or you can say or kilogram per square meter per year in terms of biomass, in terms of biological mass or biomass. So it is usually expressed as kilocalorie per square meter per year or kilojoule per square meter per year in terms of energy or kilogram per square meter per year in terms of biomass, right? Now, what is the biomass? Now, when it comes to the question, okay, what do you mean by the term biomass? Right, I'm using this technical word biomass, right? What is biomass? Biomass is basically, if you look at the biomass, biomass is calculated of any kind of plant, right? Biomass is basically dry organic matter, right? Dry organic matter, right, of a living organism. That is called as a biomass, right? When we calculate dried organic matter of a tree or a plant, right? This dry organic matter or carbonic matter, that is what is called as a biomass. Like tree will or plant will have leaves, stems, roots, branches. If you dry it and then do the weighing, you weight it, weighing of that. You remove the water and dry it and then take the weight of that. So that is called as a biomass. That is referred to as a biomass. Right? Now what comes here, in this context here, now when we say ecosystem productivity in terms of biological mass and all, so you all know that in an ecosystem, when you take natural ecosystem, if you take example of a natural ecosystem, what happens in the ecosystem? There will be producers, right? Producers will be there, right? Now when we use the producers, if you remember that last class, I have discussed in the classroom that we can include the producers in two classes. There are two classes of producers. Either they are photosynthetic organism, or there may be sometimes chemosynthetic organism, right? Most often the photosynthetic organism which carries out photosynthesis and prepares the food, right? Like here the example, if you take the example here, so plants, right, grasses, then I have also mentioned that algae on the water body, phytoplanktons, right, phytoplanktons. Then you have example also blue-green algae, what you call cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. Right? They are the photosynthetic organism, right? When you look at chemosynthetic, which uses the chemical means to prepare the food or energy there, right? Here the example comes into bacteria. Here you have a thiobacillus. Thiobacillus is sulfur bacteria. Sulfur bacteria. They use on sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide to get the energy that comes into that. Then what happens in ecosystem? You have a consumers. You have a various types of consumers there. What we have covered in the previous class, consumers are there, right? And consumers, I have already mentioned that consumers are either herbivore, which feed on the plant and get the energy, or it can be carnivore, which eat herbivores and survive on that. Then there will be omnivore, which can eat both plants and animals. And the energy to the consumers come from this one, food chain. When we talk about food chain, the energy comes into that. Right, the energy get transferred from producer to consumers. So what happens in the process of transfer of energy, right, when the energy get transferred, so all these plants or any kind of thing, it generates the biomass. It has the process generates the biological mass, biomass into that, right? And when the consumer, herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, when they feed on that, so they also generate the biomass. There is also generation of biomass. I am talking about an ecosystem. We are not talking about individual plant or animal. We are talking about entire ecosystem. right? So the biomass generation happens in throughout this, right? Now what is very important, that ecosystem productivity, right? Ecosystem productivity can be measured in two ways. There are two methods by which it can be measured. So what I do on the whiteboard there, like when we have to do the measurement, a scientist has to do the measurement of ecological system, ecosystem productivity. So it can be done with two aspects of that. It can be done on the two ways. Either it can be gross or net. They can be in terms of gross term, gross productivity, or it can be done on the net productivity, right? The two ways the scientists can do the calculation of ecosystem productivity. See again, students, I am discussing all this one just to give you an idea. UPSC is not going to ask you definition. UPSC is not going to ask you any formula, any kind of equation or definition part of. It is only just at the back of the mind. You have to have at the back of the mind. So a scientist who does the measurement, either it can do the measurement in terms of gross, or it can do the measurement in terms of net value. Gross and the net. Just take example. I'll just explain with an example. If we take a tree here, let's say a tree here, you'll understand with the example. Let me give an example here. For example, in a tree, in one day, let's say, in single day, in one day in a tree, and because of photosynthesis, the tree which carries out the photosynthesis, right? What is photosynthesis? 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, with the help of sunlight, and chlorophyll molecule, the pigment. It prepares the food, C6H12O6 plus 6 molecule of oxygen. So this glucose is made. The glucose is synthesized. Let's say in one day, this tree makes 100 grams of glucose. Right, 100 grams of glucose is synthesized by the photosynthesis by this particular tree. But the tree also requires energy. The tree will also require energy. So the process of getting energy is the respiration. The biological process, respiration, that's where the energy is obtained. What happens in respiration? The food like here which contains glucose get oxidized by the oxygen and is broken down into carbon dioxide molecule plus water vapor, plus it also releases energy. It's a 32 ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Let's say this tree in one day makes 100 gram of glucose by the process of photosynthesis. But the tree also consumes, there is a consumption, because respiration, 60 grams, let's say, 60 gram of glucose is consumed in the respiration. 60 gram of the glucose is consumed in the respiration process. So what is gross? Gross is total. Gross here refers to total. Here's the total amount. That is called gross. Right? So here, this 100 gram is a gross. We'll call it the 100 gram as a gross productivity. Whereas 100 minus 60, when you minus due to respiration, because in the respiration 60 gram of glucose is utilized by the plant for getting energy. 60 grams of glucose is consumed by this particular tree in one day. So what will be the net amount? If we are going to calculate the net productivity, the net productivity of this particular tree, right, will be 100 grams minus 60 grams. That will be 40 grams. 40 grams will be the net productivity. The tree which will require the energy will consume 60 grams of glucose in one day. So if you subtract 60 gram from the 100 gram, you get 40 gram. You get the 40 gram is the amount. And this 40 gram of glucose is available to consumer. Next trophic level. So this is called as a net value. 40 gram is the net value. Whereas the total amount, so what is the net value? Net value is total amount, whatever the gross amount is there, minus respiration loss. Loss due to respiration. Whatever remaining comes, that is called as a net value there. See, all these are concepts. Remember that. All these are concepts which you have to keep at the back of the mind. You have to keep at the back of the mind. That's all is a concept. And again, I am telling you that UPSC is not going to ask you theory part of it. UPSC will never ask you what is net, what is gross. That will not be asked. It is only for your back of the mind. You have to remember all these kind of terms and the terminology part of it. Right? This is only for your understanding part. Question will be always based on examples. Whatever question will be based on examples. Right? अच्छा ये zoom out कर दीजिए वो देखना चाह रहे हैं वो camera is on the part of the dry organic matter. Dry organic matter means once you take the leaves, right, all the leaves or plant material and you dry it in the sun, all the water is removed. That's called dried organic matter. Carbonic content, it's called content of carbon. That's what called as the, in terms of the, so okay, questions there, like there is one question, Kunal has asked a question that lagoons are saline or fresh water? Lagoons are saline, salt water, right? They are in the coastal area and they have the saline water. And which type of more ecological productivity will be there? Lagoons will be more productive because there are some kind of mix of fresh water and sea water, like Chilika. And there is a movement of nutrients. When there is a nutrient, there will be more photosynthesis. Always remember that ecosystem productivity is linked with the photosynthesis. What I have tried to explain that. Right? Any doubt you have, any question you want to ask there? Anything you want to ask, please ask me because then I'll give you the notes on that. I had already given you a handout to read. If you remember the very first class, I had given you a handout, right? I had already given you the handout so that you are able to read about that and understand the concept there. These all are biological concept and just only you have to understand it from the part of the first time. Right? Now let's look at here. I am just playing one. If we just take you to that, there's a lot of, you'll find the resources on the web. So I'm just playing a resource for you.
Hi, I'm Emerald Robinson, and in this What Is video, we're going to investigate Earth's ecosystems. An ecosystem is a community of living things interacting with the non-living parts of their environment. There are two primary parts of an ecosystem. The biotic part is made of all the living things like plants and animals, fungi, and bacteria and viruses. The abiotic part is made up of non-living things like rocks and minerals, water, and energy. Ecosystems can be almost any size. While most of us think of communities like a coral reef or a forest, an ecosystem can be a small pond or even the area beneath a large rock. Ecosystems need energy. In most cases, this energy comes from sunlight. Producers, like plants, take light energy and convert it into usable sugar energy through photosynthesis. As animals consume the energy from plants, they are eaten by other animals and ultimately decompose back into the soil. The energy moves through the ecosystem via a food web. Two of the most important concepts in the study of ecosystems are niche and habitat. A habitat is a place where an organism lives. Organisms must get nutrition, shelter, water, and the other things they need to survive from their habitat. Niche is an organism's special role in the ecosystem. What and how something eats, how it behaves, where it lives, all of these things define an organism's niche. Two organisms cannot occupy the same niche for very long. Eventually, one will outcompete the other for food and other resources, forcing the other to move or to go extinct. Many of the Earth's ecosystems are threatened due to climate change, pollution, and the human destruction of habitats. Scientists called ecologists study and monitor the health of ecosystems and continually work to discover new ways to protect these precious organisms and environments.
This is what you have, this video, which I just played for all of you to understand here, from the point of view of the ecosystem part of it, ecosystem productivity and the part of it. See, biomass, remember that, biomass is not only in the plants, biomass will also come into animals. What comes in the animals, the biomass? Bones, teeth, cells, tissues, muscles, right? Like human being, it's part of human being. So we also have biological mass. We also have all the, the cells and tissues what we have. Let's say dead animal, we take dead animal which is dead. So all is a dead animal, the part of the muscle, bone, teeth. And if you take dry it means you remove the water content. You will get the biomass of that particular animal. Same as the plant. If you take a plant in a pot, you take the plant, you dry it, and then keep a weight of that, 1 gram or 2 gram, dried part of it, dried carbonic matter. That forms the biomass. Now, you all know that. We have discussed in the classroom that law of 10%. We have discussed in the classroom that because of the law of 10%, Lindman's law of 10%, what happens in this, when there is a flow of energy, so 90% of energy get lost. Right? 90% of the energy get lost when it enters the food chain, food web. So the consumers like herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, they derive less energy. And whatever the energy they require for their survival, the remaining part becomes into biomass. So if you take the biomass of consumers, right, the generation of biomass of consumers will be very less than producers. Where the biomass will be more? Biomass will be more on the producer case. I'll just give you a very simple example. Sometimes jokingly I say in the classroom, let's say for example, you have a metabolic rate, just understand. You can eat 2 chapati, 2 roti or chapati, and you get all the energy for working, right? But let's say, instead of 2 chapati, you start eating 10 chapati. What will happen with the 10 chapati? The 2 chapati gives you energy which you work out, but the extra energy of 8 chapatis will convert into what? Biomass. This is the biomass. Right? Did you understand my concept? Did you understand what is biomass? All what you see here, this is all the biomass. Fats, all the fats, tissues, cells which are happening there. If I do the work, I'll burn my calorie. Right? All the energy will be the calorie which is stored up as a biomass will be burnt up. It's a very simple logic I have given. Just to make you understand, I have given just a simple logic. Okay, what do you mean by the part of that? So what happens when you take a food? You get energy. Right? The glucose is broken down. And that energy used in your day-to-day life, whatever work you do. Right? But let's say you have an excess amount of energy, more energy. So they go into metabolic process and become protein, cells, tissues, biomolecule. And that get locked up in the body. Same way it happens with herbivores, carnivores, then producers there in the ecosystem. And that will vary. So that's what comes here. We take into account area. Different ecosystem will have different values. So we take an average. Is basically average value. You take an average value. You are not taking absolute value, you are taking average value. What is average value? That you average it over area. Let's say for example, in a forest, you take 100 square meter. But you will average with 1 square meter. You will divide by 100, you will calculate for 1 square meter. And you are also taking time. So one is the area also and time also. Per day, every day, and let's say 1 year, you are averaging throughout the year. 365 and 1/4 day. So you'll get an average value, right? Now what comes here? This average value, what comes here? Like, that's what you have to do here is that biomass, the basic book, basic book is NCERT. You have to read the basic book NCERT to get all this idea there. So what kind of biomass generated by chemotropes? See, chemotropes, if you take chemotropes, thiobacillus or chemotropes, sulfur bacteria, they will also make the sulfate, that energy which gets into that, right? But chemosynthetic organism is less. Mostly you happen through photosynthesis, right? This is a very high level which comes there, the photosynthesis organism. Chemosynthetic organism like bacteria. Bacteria is almost like negligible, right? Is almost, it makes, but it is negligible, right? Where you have a maximum, the maximum comes here. It generates maximum here, right? Whatever the biomass comes here, that is a minimum. That is will be very minimum amount, almost negligible. In the nature, remember that in the nature, photosynthesis is the predominant biological process where it generates the biomass of that, right? So that comes. So okay, one request there. Please ask question to the batch coordinator. Please don't ask question on the response portal. Many of the students are asking question on the response portal. Please don't write any question or query in the response portal. If you have any doubt or query, please ask to the batch coordinator, right? So that is what the request has come from the batch coordinator, that you guys, you all students should write the query to the batch coordinator. That is where, and the person will forward to me. I will give your answer there. Like Purvi has asked here. Purvi's question is that what kind of biomass is generated? So that's here. It's a very minimum amount. So now let's understand here. What happens in ecosystem? You'll understand very clearly when we are going to do the measurement of productivity in ecosystem, right? So there will be first one. First will be at the level of producer. Then it goes to the level of consumers, right? So now you can write there, just write there. Just write there. There are two types of, there are two types of ecosystem productivity. I'm dictating the notes, please write that. There are two types of ecosystem productivity. There are two types of ecosystem productivity. Dash, give a dash there. Number one, dash, now write number one, primary productivity. Dash number one, primary productivity. Primary productivity. Right, there are two types of ecosystem productivity. Give a dash. Number one, primary productivity. Now you write a sentence on that. Primary productivity. Give a hyphen or dash right there. It refers to, now right there. Number one, primary productivity. Give a dash or hyphen right there. It refers to amount of biomass generated. It refers to amount of biomass generated in all producers. Amount of biomass generated in all producers of an ecosystem. Just write one sentence. It refers to the biomass generated in all producers of an ecosystem. All producers of an ecosystem. Right? Give a full stop there. Now write number two. Now below that you write number two. Number two, write number two, secondary productivity. Number two, secondary productivity. Number two, secondary productivity. Number two, secondary productivity. Number two, write secondary productivity. Now again give a dash or hyphen. It refers to biomass generated. It refers to biomass generated in all consumers. It refers to biomass generated in all consumers of an ecosystem. It refers to biomass generated in all consumers of an ecosystem. I'll repeat again. I'm repeating there. See, whatever I'm dictating, dictation part, please write that one. What I've dictated here, ecosystem productivity is of two types, dash, Number one, primary productivity. Then again give a hyphen. It refers to biomass generated by all producers of an ecosystem. All plants and grasses, producers of that, right? Number two, secondary productivity. Secondary productivity. Now give a dash. It refers to biomass generated by all consumers of an ecosystem. All consumers of an ecosystem. Now see there. Now you can write this flow chart. Right? Now you write this flow chart. What I gave you the writing part, now you can write the flow chart here. What is primary productivity? Here is the total, whatever the biomass is there. Biomass in producers. All the producers of the, or you can say autotrophs, which can make their own food. That is called primary. Why it is called primary? First time. These are technical terms. I'll tell you that. It is not very easy to understand. But again, you try to go whatever I'm teaching in the classroom. Primary here means the first time. The sunlight is converted into energy. Is converted into glucose. Right? Now what comes here secondary? Secondary will be the energy or biomass in all consumers. When we take herbivores, carnivores, right, all consumers, that is called secondary. Because what is secondary here? Second time. That means after taking food from producer, it will generate energy and biomass. So here the primary productivity. Now what we can do? We can measure it. Here the measurement, if you do the measurement of this, calculation of this, now this measurement can be two types. It can be measured in two types. Either here gross, GPP, what is called gross primary productivity, that is total amount. Right, that is the total amount, gross primary productivity, that is the total amount. Right? And here you have a NPP, net primary productivity. Many times you will come across the word net. Net primary productivity. What is the net value? After respiration loss. After loss due to respiration. That is a net value here. That will become the net value. Same way all the consumers, herbivores, carnivores, all the consumers, if we are going to do the measurement, right now if we do the measurement, so it will be again gross value and the net value. So it will be gross secondary productivity, right? Gross secondary productivity, but that will be negligible. Why? Law of 10%. Because of law of 10%, most of this energy get lost. So there is a very small amount. And NSP, net secondary productivity, what will be there? After all the respiration loss, that forms a net secondary productivity. So I'm just introducing certain terms here. Just focus on this flow chart. I have given you what is the ecosystem productivity, generation of biomass. It can be primary and secondary. Primary here means when you talk with all the producers, all the autotrophs and producers, like photosynthetic organism. Secondary here we are referring to consumers, animals, like plant, like herbivores, carnivores. And how do we measure this one in terms of primary? By gross value or net value. What is net value? After respiration loss. Same way, secondary productivity can also be measured in gross and net. Net value will be after the respiration loss. But again, for any ecosystem, let's say forest, which will be more will be primary. Primary will always be higher than the secondary. Why the primary will be always higher than the secondary? Because of law of 10%, herbivores, carnivores and all these animals, they derive very less energy. And there is less biomass generation. Maximum comes to the producers. See, this is just the theory. This is just the theory. Again, I'm repeating here. See, those of you are not able to understand, for all of you, I'm just saying that it is just a theory part. It has to be at the back of the mind. UPSC is not going to ask you GPP or NPP or any definition. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about the definition and technical aspect. Question will be always applied. Application of the concept. So I have introduced the concept from the ecology in terms of the productivity part. Now there is a question from Harsis Yadav. Now Harsis Yadav is asking a question that if ecological productivity is measured as both biomass and energy average over area and time, can they have conflicting values? Yes, they may have different values. In that case, which one is taken into account? Generally, scientists take both. Harsis Yadav, you are right. When the scientists will do the measurement, either in terms of energy or in terms of biomass, it will have a different sort of values. Normally, you can say, normally it is considered in terms of biomass. Energy is very less, but generally scientists prefer to calculate in terms of biomass, in terms of grams or kilograms. But both can be considered. There is no problem in that. And both can be considered there. Both can be considered. There is no problem. Both can be considered here. And again, remember that. See, I'm again and again telling that whatever I'm teaching in the classroom, just I know that all of you who are right now live in the classroom, these are the topics which are very theoretical topic, and you don't have to go into very depth of it. See, you don't have to become MSc in water science, right? You all are preparing for UPSC civil service exam. You need to have some basic understanding of the terminology. What I said in the classroom, there will certain keyword will be there. And with that keyword, you have to identify whether it is correct or wrong. So you don't have to worry about the, don't go into too depth of that. And don't go by size, like a tiger or lion looks bigger, or elephant looks bigger than it has, elephant has a more biomass. It is not like that. Like elephant is a herbivore, but is the largest mammal on the earth. So that is not the way to connect the carnivore with herbivore. I am talking in terms of energy, when the energy is obtained in food web. So how much biomass is generated, how much energy is given there. This is just the theoretical aspect. This is just a theoretical aspect which I have discussed in the classroom here. So if you see here biomass, like many of the people are having doubt with respect to biomass. So what I always suggest, see, whenever you have in terms of the understanding of biomass, you can always refer to some kind of a understanding there, right? Let's say biomass, let's say for example, here you can see here. Let me just show you this particular.
What is biomass? What is biomass energy? How does biomass work? And examples of biomass. Before starting the lecture, click on the subscribe button and get access to our 100 of conceptual lectures for free. Now what is biomass? Well, all the organic materials made from plants and animals are known as a biomass. Examples of biomass are wood, crops, animal manure, some garbage, etc. The word bio means life and mass means all these things are materials. Biomass is renewable source of energy. It means we can use biomass again and again in order to generate energy. Now the second important question is that why we study biomass or why is biomass important? The answer is very simple. Biomass is important because it contains stored energy. For instance, we know that wood is biomass. When you burn it in fireplace, you get heat energy from the wood. Thus we say that all the biomass materials contain stored energy. Now how is biomass produced or from where they get energy? Well, we know that plants absorb the sun's energy in a process called photosynthesis. Plants store some amount of this energy in various parts. The stored energy in plants is known as a chemical energy. Thus all the biomass like crops, vegetables and wood contain chemical energy. For instance, potatoes contain stored chemical energy. When you eat it, what you get? Well, you get the chemical energy of the potatoes. Similarly, when you burn wood, the stored energy or chemical energy of the wood is converted into heat energy according to the law of conservation of energy. Therefore, we usually say biomass energy. Now, what is biomass energy? The energy usually obtained by burning biomass materials is known as a biomass energy. There are many methods used for the conversion of biomass into energy, but the most common are direct combustion and
part of the video I played, reason being that the other part of the video is in terms of the energy, renewable energy, how we are going to take all the plant matter and convert into source of energy. So that is in terms of energy resources. But the first part which I played in the video, just to make you understand what is the biomass, organic matter. You can say the organic matter, what we get from plants and animals. So that is called biomass. Now there is a very interesting question asked by Kunal. Kunal has asked a very important question, and the same question is also been asked by Soham also there. Soham and Kunal, both of them said that. Okay, what is the question here? See, very important. The previous class. In the previous class, I have explained that in aquatic ecosystem, pyramid of biomass is inverted. If you recall the last class, right, those who have not attended last class, you can go back to the recorded video and can learn about the pyramid. So I have said that aquatic ecosystem has a pyramid of biomass inverted. That means the biomass increases. So Kunal is asking a question that, does that also mean that energy also increases? No. There is no direct correlation of, there may be some linkage. It doesn't mean that. I have already told that when it gets transferred from one level to the next, energy will keep on decreasing. That is a law of 10% comes into that. That's why the pyramid of energy is always upright. Biomass is what? Organic matter. How much is the organic matter obtained? Right? Like for example. So when you talk about here, let's say for example, I'll just make you understand here. What I'll do here, let's try to understand here with an example. Because you're mixing this. Some of the people are mixing the two concepts together here. Let's say understand here. Biomass, when you say biomass, what is biomass? Biomass is the organic material. Right? There's an organic material that is called biomass. What the plants have got. Right? Energy, let's say energy is the which you require, right? This is the part of energy which is required for organism to work, required for a living organism to work, right? To work or carry out its activities, right? Work or activities, to carry out activities there. Now let's understand here. Energy is obtained from ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that gives energy. Let's take example. I'll just give you example. Let's say, for example, food. Right? Let's say the food has got 10 kilocalorie, that is the energy content. Total energy content of the food is 10 kilocalorie. Just understand here. Let's say, for example, you take yourself there. Right? Now when you take the food, when you eat the food, what will happen there? When you eat the food, when let's say you eat that food, you will not get 10 kilocalorie. You will not get the 10 kilocalorie. What will happen here? When you take the food, some part of the food, some part of this energy which you will obtain will be used for bodily activity. That whatever the activity you take that, some part of it. Let's say it has contained 10 kilocalorie, so maybe you are able to use 5 kilocalorie of energy. But whatever remaining energy is there, that helps in the making of biomolecules. That helps in making of cells, tissues. So what happened? The remaining amount, remaining energy, that converts into biomass. converts into organic material. That becomes a biomass. Did you understand that? Let's say when you eat food and food has got something 10 kilocalorie or 10 joule of energy. So what will happen when you eat the food? Some of the energy you will use in your process, all the activities. But there will be some extra energy. And that extra energy converts into biomass. Did you understand that? That extra energy? That's what I said. If you have 2 chapati, if you are eating 2 roti or chapati, and you are able to work for 2 hours. But let's say you eat 10 chapatis. Let's take the example. If you eat 10 rotis or chapatis, so in 2 hours you will be consuming that 2 roti energy, whatever you are getting that. But the extra energy which is coming from 8 chapati, what will happen to that energy? When you are eating that, what will happen to that energy? That will convert into organic material. That will convert into organic material. Synthesis of organic material. And that will be stored in the body. So that storage which happens, that is called biomass. That is called biomass. So what happens in aquatic system is that energy will decrease. But the remaining energy, whatever the energy is there, that get converted into biomass. That's what you get inverted pyramid. Kunal and Soham, right? Kunal and Soham. Are you able to understand this one? What Kunal and Soham is asking that, what happens in the case of, say here tree, I've given the example tree. In one day in photosynthesis, whatever the glucose is made, 100 grams. And let's say 1 gram of glucose gives you 4.2 kilojoule of energy. 4.2 kilojoule of energy, let's say, is obtained there. Kilocalorie or kilojoule energy. So that is what obtained there. But remaining amount which is lost by respiration, because respiration, whatever loss there, energy obtained, the remaining, what comes in net here. Now let's say, for example, the last class, the question, inverted pyramid of biomass. In aquatic ecosystem, that what Kunal and Soham are asking the question that in the previous class I have said that in aquatic ecosystem, if you remember that in aquatic ecosystem, I have mentioned that the pyramid of biomass, here we are talking pyramid, this pyramid of biomass in terms of biological mass, and I have shown you the image also there. This pyramid of biomass, that increases. There's an increase. There's an increase in biomass. I'm talking about aquatic ecosystem. Let's say 4 gram per square meter. Then you have 8 gram per square meter. Then 12 gram per square meter. This is what I have explained in that. And let's say here you have 16 gram per square meter. So let's say here you have a phytoplankton. Right? This will be eaten by zooplankton. I'm just giving the part of the food chain. There is small fish, and then you have a big fish. It's a very simple concept. See what is happening here. Whatever the energy phytoplankton gets, right? So what happens in this case? The most of the energy is spent. Here, most of the phytoplankton, most of energy is spent by phytoplankton, because phytoplanktons will carry out more respiration. Most of the energy is spent by the phytoplanktons. So since most of the energy is spent, there will be, what will happen there? The biomass, the remaining amount of energy which becomes the biomass, which get converted into biomass, which get converted to organic matter, will be less during their lifespan, because phytoplanktons or algae, which remains for a very short duration, they consume most of the energy. So whatever remaining energy, that converts into organic matter. That makes the organic matter will be very less. But if you take to zooplankton, zooplankton is not able to use more of the energy. amount of energy, right? See, one we are talking about transfer. If we talk about transfer of energy, 90% loss is there. There is Lindemann law of 10%. We are applying the law of 10% there, right? But here we are talking in terms of biomass. Okay, how much organic material gets accumulated, right? How much organic material gets accumulated in that aquarium. So in big fish, amount of organic material which is accumulated, that is much larger as compared to the smaller fish and the zooplankton, right? So please don't mix up that. See, that pyramid concept which I had explained, that is in terms of transfer of energy from one trophic level to the next. I am talking about here ecosystem. We are talking about ecological system. We are talking about the ecosystem as a whole. We are not talking about food chain, right? We are referring to the entire forest as an ecosystem. We are referring to entire grassland as an ecosystem. And there the biomass which is generated there. We are taking all organisms, all living organisms in totality, right? Now let's understand here. So if you take here, in this context here, let's come to here. Now I am coming to important part. See, I told you very clearly, UPSC is not going to ask you NPP or GPP or something of that. UPSC will always connect the concept with the geography and other areas, right? Now what is here? Certain important points are there. Now let's understand here certain important points which I am giving here in terms of the ecosystem here. Like first one, if we take Earth here, let's say we take Earth. In the Earth, if you look at the Earth as a oblate spheroid, right? Oblate spheroid here. So what we find is that there is a polar area, North Pole and let's say South Pole, Arctic and Antarctic. And this is what you have studied in geography, 0-degree line, that is the equator. There is the equator here, right? Then 23.5 degree north, you have Tropic of Cancer. And you have also studied that in southern hemisphere, 23.5 degree south, that is the Tropic of Capricorn. You are all aware of this. You have studied in your school days also there. Right. Now this is the place what is called tropical belt. Here it is called as a tropical area, tropical belt, right? Tropical belt there. Now what happens is that as we go from tropical areas, equator and the tropics, to the polar areas, right? As we go to polar areas, what we find is that as we move from here, there will be decrease of sunlight temperature, right? There will be decrease in sunlight temperature, rainfall, as we move from equator to the polar side, North Pole and South Pole. So there will be decline. There will be what? Decline in productivity. But it does not mean that North Pole will not have a productivity. North Pole also has got animals like polar bear, penguins. There are also species of birds and all. So what we find is that both the hemisphere, as we gradually go to the polar side, there is a decrease in the productivity. Highest amount of productivity on land, on the land and the ocean, both continent and the ocean, will be on the tropical area, tropical belt. So what is first point here? Lower latitude. I am writing here, lower latitude. That is a tropical area. Tropical zone and tropical area will have high level of productivity than as compared to higher latitudes. Please write all this in your note copy there. Lower latitude, that is a 0 degree and 25 degree north and south, both hemisphere, tropical areas, will generate more biomass. Why there will be more biomass? Because of abundant sunlight, nutrient, temperature, more plants, they will generate more part of it. Higher latitude here, polar areas. Polar areas will have generation but will be lesser, will not be much. It will be less amount. Now let's look at the part of mountain gradients. Let's say Himalayan range I'm connecting with the mountain. Let's say you have a snow-capped here, you have a snow-capped or glacier, snow-capped mountain, that's snow-capped mountain. Now let's look at here. You have a, this side is a plain area, right? Here is a plain, right? And here you have a higher reaches. Now what happens as we go to the higher reaches of the mountain? As we move from the lower plain area to the higher slope. So what we find, temperature changes, climatic conditions will change, sunlight, temperature, all these changes there. So there also will find there will be decline. There will be decline in productivity as we move from the lower reaches to the higher reaches. And when you go to the snow-capped mountain where the snow and the glaciers are present, there the level of productivity will be very low. So what does that mean? It means that lower altitude, I'm not talking about altitude. Lower altitude will have higher generation of biomass as compared to higher altitude. Right, as compared to lower altitude, the lower altitude, like for a Himalayan, if you go to Himalayas, you'll find that lower part, 1000 meter per meter above mean sea level, you have a evergreen forest. You'll find tropical and evergreen forest. Then after that, you'll find semi-evergreen forest. As you go to 2000 meter, you'll find temperate, deciduous type of forest. When you go to a higher again, 3000 meters, alpine, mountain. So what do you find? Gradually there is a decline. But again, there is some sort of production because of the photosynthesis. And where you have a snow-capped mountain, you find lichens and moss. Lichens and mosses, those organisms are there. But we will not say zero. We will not call it a zero. We will not call it a zero here. Right? Now if you see here, high productive ecosystem. If you take example of those ecosystems which generate more amount of biomass through photosynthesis, high productive ecosystems. So what do you find here examples? Let's say among the forest. Now tell me among the forest, which type of forest will have higher level of photosynthesis? Always think of photosynthesis. Just keep in mind photosynthesis. So now if you take the forest, which forest will have higher level of photosynthesis? Tropical rainforest. Tropical rainforest, let's say Amazon, Western Ghat. Tropical rainforest will generate more. Right? Then you know mangrove forest. Mangrove forests are green in color and they have the chlorophyll molecule and they carry out photosynthesis. Then in terms of here, swampy area, swamp. Mangrove is also a swamp area. Then estuary, where you have a mixture of fresh water with the sea. What is estuary? Mouth of the river, where the river meets the sea and ocean. The nutrient and all this one. Estuary, delta. Then in the marine ecosystem, you know, coral reef. Right? Lagoon and all this. This all will have high level of generation of productivity because of the photosynthesis. Because of the photosynthesis will have. Now coming to medium level. If you talk about medium level, and I'll tell you that I am discussing a very, very important concept in the classroom. Now if you take here medium level, the fourth one is medium level. Medium productive ecosystem. If you take example here, where the generation of biomass will be at a moderate level, at a medium level. Now among the forest, temperate forest. Temperate deciduous forest. Temperate and deciduous forest will have a medium level there. Then like here, I'll give another example, coniferous. You know the conifers. Coniferous forest, what is called as a boreal forest. Then grasslands. You will find that scientists have done the calculation, grasslands. Now among the grasslands, which will be higher? Among the grassland, tropical savanna. savanna grassland in Africa, tropical savanna has higher than temperate steppe. You'll find steppe in Europe. Grasslands, all grasslands on the earth will have moderate or medium level productivity. But if you compare among the grasslands, tropical savanna will have higher than the temperate because of the again climatic conditions, right? Then in terms of lakes, lakes will have medium level of productivity. Then again agriculture land, farmland, cultivated land, they all will have medium level of productivity. Where you have the lower level of productivity, lower productive ecosystem, where the generation of biomass because of photosynthesis will be small. What are the example of lower productive ecosystem? So lower productive ecosystem, you will have the example here. Lower productive ecosystem, the example, desert. Right? Or let's say forest first we'll take. Alpine forest. Alpine or mountainous forest. Mountain forest. Will have very less. Now let's take example desert. Let's say Thar Marusthal. Desert. Sand dunes and desert. What type of plants you'll find in desert? Cactus. Cacti, cactus and all this. Small plants. Scanty vegetation. Less vegetation, less, will generate less. Then you come across here, mountain peak. Here, peaks of the mountain peak. Snow-capped mountain. Temperature becomes very, very low. You will not find tall trees and plants. Tall trees and plants will not be there. Then what comes here, I'll give you example here, permafrost. Permanently frozen area, permafrost. Arctic and Antarctica, permanently frozen area. Then polar areas, Arctic, Antarctica and all this. They will have a lower level of productivity. Right? Now among this, then you have to again do the comparison there. If you take continents, like for example, if you take all the continents, Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, if you take all the continents, you have all types forests, you have forest, grassland, you have all types of ecosystem there. Land-based ecosystems are there on the continents. Will have higher than the oceans. If you take all the oceans together, I am doing only comparison. I am doing all the comparisons. Where in the ocean you have high level of production of biomass? Coral reef, continental area, where the near to continent. There you will be more sunlight, nutrient. And again, you know where the sunlight goes. As you go deeper part of the ocean, after 200 meters, sunlight becomes very, very less. And after 300, 400 meters, there is no sunlight. It becomes a dark zone, aphotic zone. And upper part of the ocean where you have a sunlight. And again near to the coastline, near to the coast, where you have nutrients and everything. You will find diatom, phytoplanktons, algae growing there. Coral reefs are also found in the shallow water. Coral reefs are not deep water. Corals are found in the shallow water, where the sunlight can penetrate. If you go to far away of the ocean, sea and ocean, the productivity keeps on decreasing there. So this is where you have to remember. See, this is where questions will be asked. In exam, the questions will be based on this kind of examples. Questions will be, like in exam, questions will be asked on this kind of examples. That's what I said. You will not be asked NPP or GPP or definition of productivity. That will not be asked. What is very important? The application of the concept. How do you apply this concept from geographical point of view? That's what I always keep on saying, that environment subject, environment ecology subject will have linkage with every area of general studies. You can connect the concept of ecology, environment with geography, with biology, with other science and technology area, with even the economic, social aspect there. It will always have the connectivity part of it. Right? So this is what you have to understand from the question point of view. You have to start from a very basic level, very theoretical level, and then build upon that. You have to build upon that part comes there. अच्छा ये जूम करने के लिए कर रहे हैं कुछ बच्चे, पूनम त्रिपाठी और ये शुभम प्रकाश है, कह रहे प्लीज जूम आउट टू द राइट साइड. डोंट वरी, आई विल गिव यू ब्रेक. डोंट वरी, ब्रेक मिलेगा, चिंता मत कीजिए. आई विल गिव यू द ब्रेक, बट जस्ट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड द कंसेप्ट. And please write it down. Please write whatever I am writing on the whiteboard. Please write it down. So what I'll do here, just what I explained in terms of the geographical linkage of the ecosystem productivity here. Let me see if I can show you something on that.
Do subscribe to Ekeeda channel and press bell icon to get updates about latest engineering, HSC and IIT JEE main and advanced videos.
Hello students, today we are studying chapter Organisms and Environment Part 2. In that we are studying topic Productivity of Ecosystem. Productivity of ecosystem means how much amount of energy is produced in an ecosystem, the amount of glucose produced, the amount of energy that is produced in the form of ATP. Productivity of an ecosystem refers to rate of biomass production and
right. In YouTube and YouTube channel, you'll find a lot of such video classes have come up. So whatever I have explained here, the same thing you'll find. Right? What I'll do here, let me do one thing here. I had already given you the concept of ecosystem in the previous class, if you recall there. And there also the part of it is given there. Functions of ecosystem, if you go there, I don't know how many people have gone through food chain, food web, pyramid, all this what I've given here. Let me do one thing here. In the previous handout, I'll just connect to that part and then this one. It will come to your screen here, right? So this what I explained the last class. Energy flow through this is the first class, the handout. If you recall the very first class, which I took in the environment ecology, there I had given you the handout. So that handout here, now you can see the functions of ecosystem is a visualized material, the trophic level, whatever we have explained here. Food chain, you have examples there. Types of food chain, right? Then ecological pyramid we have covered in the classroom there. Whatever I have used the part of the flowchart diagram, right, to make you understand pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, all these are given here. In the handout you will find that. And then you can see here ecological productivity ecosystem. Right? You have ecological productivity or ecosystem here. So what is given here? Ecological productivity refers to primary fixation of solar energy. What is given here? Ecological productivity refers to the primary fixation of solar energy by plants and the subsequent use of that fixed energy by plant eating herbivores, animal eating carnivores, and the detritivores that feed upon dead biomass. Now ecology refers to the productivity of green plant as primary productivity. What is primary? By the green plants. And I have mentioned that gross primary productivity, GPP. What is gross? Total amount of energy that is fixed by plants. While net, when you take net primary productivity, net, if we use the word net primary productivity, is smaller. Why it is smaller? Because it is adjusted for energy loss required to support plant respiration. Because of respiration, it is get lost. If the net primary productivity of green plant is an ecosystem is positive, then the biomass of vegetation will increase over time. If there is a energy remaining, so that remaining energy will convert into biomass, right? So this is what you have seen, that gross primary productivity, net productivity, and this one net plus energy loss due to respiration, or net will be gross minus energy loss due to respiration, right? So gross and net again depends on the level of. Now you see here in your visionized material you have been given this graph. Because of differences in the availability of solar radiation, sunlight, water, nutrient, the world's ecosystem differ greatly in the productivity part. And you can see here what is, if you look at here, average net primary productivity, average NPP, where you have the highest, it is in the energy, kilocalorie per square meter per year. You can see here estuary, if you take here estuary has got higher there. If you say here estuary, mouth of the river, if you look at this diagram here, it is a high level, right? Swamp and the marshes, high level. Tropical rainforest is the high level, right? Temperate if you look at, medium level. Temperate forest comes to medium level. Taiga or boreal forest, medium level. Boreal forest, taiga, medium level. Grassland, if you look at savanna, grassland, medium level. Agricultural land, medium level, right? Woodland is shrubland, that is medium level. Temperate grassland, again medium level. But again you can see here, if you compare temperate grassland with the savanna, savanna has got, if you look at this diagram, savanna tropical grassland has got more than temperate one, than the steppe. Steppe is in the Europe. Then you can see here, lakes and stream, medium level, lakes and stream. Continental shelf, medium. And now you can see it, Arctic and alpine. Tundra, low. Tundra is the permanently frozen area. It has a very low value. Open ocean, now see, very important. Open ocean has low. Desert has got low. And extreme desert has again the list or low area. Right? Can you see the diagram here? This diagram. Tundra is the Arctic and the part of area, the alpine and all. It has got very less. Right? Okay, there is a question by the student. Abhishek Rai is asking question. If we consider the Pacific Ocean as an ecosystem, can we say the total biomass of big fishes is more than the total biomass of small fishes, which is greater than the phytoplankton? Yeah, if you are taking about a food chain, not the total, I am talking about a food chain. If you consider food chain, phytoplankton eaten by zooplankton, small fish, big fish. This is not the correct, what you are generalizing is the wrong. Abhishek Rai, your point is wrong. It is not like that. See, when you are saying that if you take all big fishes will have higher than the small, it is not like that. See, we are talking about their inverted pyramid of biomass. I am talking about a food chain. Given in the food chain, when it goes from one level to the next level, you are talking about entire Pacific Ocean. You are talking about entire Pacific Ocean. So when you talk about entire Pacific Ocean, you have to take all the food webs. Right? You have to take all the food webs, all the food chain. Right? So you cannot generalize in that way. You cannot generalize in that way. If you take a part of the ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, let's say marine ecosystem, and you consider one food chain, phytoplankton, zooplankton, small fish, big fish. In that context, as the biomass gets converted, their you have an inverted pyramid. But if you take the entire Pacific Ocean, right? Pacific is very big. You cannot make a generalization that all the big fishes will have higher than the small fishes and all this, and the phytoplankton. But in general, it happens so. In general, it happens so. Open ocean has got a low. You can see the diagram here. The diagram which is here, it will have a very low. Now in UPSC exam, in UPSC prelims exam, PT exam 2013, there is a direct question. See, what is the correct order of the sequence? And four were given. Desert, grassland, lakes, right? There was a ocean, lakes, grassland, and mangroves. Let's say if you take this 4 ecosystem. Now let me ask. If you take 4 ecosystem, mangrove, you take example mangrove. I'm writing on the same one. If you take example of mangrove, right? Ocean, lake, right? And let's say here that option which gave there, ocean, lake, mangrove, and grassland. Now tell me what will be the decreasing order? What will be decreasing order of these 4? Which will have higher? Mangroves will have higher, right? Then which will have the medium level? The grassland. The grasses and all which carries out there, grassland will be there. Then what will happen? After grassland, lakes. And then comes a open ocean. That was a question which was asked in the PT exam in 2013 exam. There was a question that correct order, decreasing order. So mangrove forest will generate more because of the photosynthesis. Then grassland, then lake. Lake has got what? Algae. What generate biomass in lakes? Algae or floating plants and all. So lake will come less than the grassland because grassland is occupied by grasses. Grasses will carry out photosynthesis. Algae and all will carry lakes and then come into ocean. In ocean where it happens? Continental shelf, coral reefs, near to the coast. But as you go to open ocean, it will be very, very less amount. Clear there? So this is what I have given here. That is for your understanding part I have given here. Yes, good, very good. Shubham Prakash has given. That's good. Very good. Yes, very good. Keshav has also given good, very good. Yes, good, very good. You all are very correct in that answer. So that's what I'm saying that. See, what is my purpose? See, I know that for you all, it is a new subject. I understand that it's a very new subject for each one of you. But I'm just trying to take you to the concept and the theory part, and I want to gradually take you to the higher level, right? What I said in the very first class, and I've repeated in the previous class also, all this concept has to be at the back of the mind. UPSC question will be mostly from the current aspect, current affairs based, and the questions will be linked with the area of wildlife, biodiversity, pollution, climate change, ozone depletion. So we want that first let's complete all the theory part. ये सारा theory part जो है एक बार हो जाएगा. All this static part, the theory part, once you have a kind of a understanding, then you don't require for the examination. Just keep that point in mind. And again, I told in today's class, till 2015 there were many questions. After 2015, UPSC stopped asking question on that. Right? But as per your understanding of the concept, I am coming from there. But then don't worry at all. You have to always look into application of the concept. As I have given that, the type of ecosystem, higher, medium, lower there. Right? All right. So we'll have a break here. Let's have a small break. Okay? Let's have a break there. After the break, we'll discuss biotic interaction, another important topic. Right? We'll go to the biotic interaction and ecological succession. Right? Let's have a small break and then we'll come back. All right? Let's have a small break. Okay, guys, we'll start. So now let's go to the next concept, the next topic here. That is the biotic interaction. as we have discussed in the very first class, that ecology is the subject of interaction and interdependence, right, among the living organism and between living organism and their environment. So here, biotic interaction, that is a important topic from the exam point of view. Now let's look at here. See what type of questions can be asked. Here, the nature of the questions which you could get in the examination on this particular topic here, let me just, there can be direct question. Here, the question will be very direct. Directly it can be asked in the examination. Let's consider here a question here. Let's say one question is that, which of following, let's say one way question can be asked in the exam, which of following is a, let's say, I'm giving you symbiotic, which of the following is a symbiotic relationship? Let's say you have a question like this one. And you are given the option here, A, shark and suckerfish, right? B, honeybee and flower, right? C, coral and zooxanthellae. D, hermit crab and sea anemone. This is a direct kind of question which can be asked in the exam. You are asked to identify among the given example which will be the example of symbiotic relationship, right? Now let's look at another type of question which can be asked in the examination. You are given the example and you are asked what type of relationship is there. Right, like for example, the question is like this one. The relationship between the relationship between cyanobacteria and fungi, right? The relationship between cyanobacteria and fungi in lichens is called A, messurism, B, commensalism, all this technical word will be there, commensalism, C, amensalism, and D, parasitism. The question will be very simple question. The question will not be difficult. There is another way the UPSC can ask question on that, right? Or the third type of question in the exam could be like this one. Which of the pairs, they will be given pairs which you have to see which are correctly matched or incorrectly matched. Which of following pairs are correctly matched? And see, remember that UPSC can give you any kind of example. Example can be any kind of example. So here you have an interaction, and here you have an example. Interaction is the example. Let's say first one, you have three choice given here. The first example is given here, a small plant under a big tree. Commensalism, let's say. Let's say you get a option like this one, right? If you get a question of this one, that you have an example and interaction there. Let's say you are given the example and you are asked interaction. You have to see which is the correct pairs which you have to select from the given multiple choice question there. So let's say here commensalism, right? Second will be here, let's say for example, Second example, second what comes here, mycorrhiza and plant. Amensalism. And third is given here, right, nostoc and azolla, right, nostoc and azolla, and you are given here in terms of, let's say, proto-cooperation. These are the factual questions, again remember, either you know or you don't know, right? And let's say you are given the option here, 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 1, 2 and 3, and D, let's say none, right? These are just a kind of a, I'm giving you sample question which can be asked in the exam. Let's say question number 1, your question number 1, question number 2, and question number 3. To just give you an idea what type of questions can be asked in the exam on the topic of biotic interaction. These are just factual, fact-based, right, where you have to identify the example with the interaction part of it. And you have to see which one matches correctly here. That is the last part I've given. A small plant under a big tree, commensalism, a mycorrhiza and plant, amensalism, nostoc and azolla, proto-cooperation. So what will be answer here? Okay, let's go one by one. Question number 1. Let's look at the first question here. Symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic relation here. Shark and suckerfish, is it a symbiotic? Shark, right, and suckerfish. Suckerfish get the benefit. This is the positive. This gets the benefit. But shark is unaffected. Shark is unaffected. This kind of relation is called commensalism. What is this relation called? Commensalism. Shark and suckerfish, where one get benefit, the other is neither benefited nor harmed. So that is the example of commensalism. This is the example of commensalism. Commensalism is that kind of interaction where one get benefited, other is unaffected. Honeybee and flower. So honeybee get the nectar and flower also get the pollination. What happens there in the process? It results into pollination. So what type of relation is that? Is it symbiotic relation? It's not a symbiotic. It's a mutualism. It's called as a mutualistic relation. This comes into mutualism. Now coral get the benefit of having the algae inside. The algae which will live inside the coral polyp and provide the food, glucose, through the photosynthesis. So that is a symbiotic. Symbiotic relations. So coral provides the carbon dioxide gas. It gives the CO2 gas. And the algae make the glucose by using photosynthesis. That goes to the coral. So both benefit each other. That's what, because of global warming and climate change, what is happening this algae which come out of the coral, and coral becomes colorless and die. What is called coral bleaching. Coral bleaching. The color of the coral is because of the algae. And when the algae is separate, because of the global warming and ocean acidification, then that results into what is called as a coral bleaching. So symbiotic. Then what is this relation? Hermit crab and sea anemone. Hermit crab takes the sea anemone from one place to another, and sea anemone gets the food. Now this kind of relationship is called proto-cooperation. It is called as a proto-cooperation. This kind of interaction is called proto-cooperation. What happens here? The hermit crab enters the shell. This is the anemone. The crab enters the shell of the sea anemone and take it from one place to another. Both get benefit and then they drop it. They separate. This type of interaction is called as a proto-cooperation. I have asked the question is symbiotic relation. So here the answer will be C. Question number 1, answer is C. Question number 1, answer is C. Now if you look at this question, question number 2, relationship between cyanobacteria, that is blue-green algae, and fungi. in lichen or lichen? You have to identify what kind of example is there. The answer is A, maturism. Cyanobacteria, blue-green algae carries out photosynthesis and provides the food, and fungi gets the substratum to hold on. Right? So the answer here, question number 2, the answer will be here A. Now coming to this question, question number 3. Now who will give me the answer of question 3? What will be answer of question number 3? What will be answer of question number 3? No, question number 3. Now you have to give the question number 3. What will be answer of question number 3? Then I'll come to all the points there. What will be answer of question number 3? Jyoti Verma is saying D. Sushma Chauhan is saying D. Kanika is saying C as an answer. Shubham Prakash is saying D as an answer. Monica D. Abhishek C the answer. Ayushi is giving D as an answer. Kapil is giving D. That means you are aware of it. Good, very good. Good, well done. Well done, good, very good. D is the answer. A small plant under a big tree is not commensalism. It is basically amensalism. Now what happens in amensalism? A small plant gets harmed and big tree is neutral. What is amensalism? Amensalism is opposite of commensalism. Amensalism is opposite of commensalism. What happens in amensalism? In amensalism, one organism is harmed, negatively impacted. The other is neither harmed nor benefited, unaffected, zero, neutral. So that is a small plant which comes under a big tree. So what happens in the big tree gets all the sunlight, water, nutrient. A small plant is not able to get that. The small plant is harmed, negative, whereas a big tree is unaffected. So that is wrong, it will be amensalism. Now mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza is a symbiotic fungi. Is a symbiotic fungi which are found in the roots of the plant. It's basically a symbiotic fungi. It's a symbiotic fungi which are found in the root of the plant. So amensalism wrong. Is basically symbiosis. Mycorrhiza provides the nutrient to the plant. It helps in the uptake of phosphorus. It helps in the absorption of phosphorus. It is spread with the roots. There, mycorrhiza you'll find there. In the plant, what you'll find that in the mycorrhiza, the roots. Rhiza means roots. The rhiza means roots. Roots of the plant. And there, this mycorrhiza is a filamentous fungi which are attached with the roots of the plant. Just like, rhizobium bacteria. They attach with the roots of the plant, increases the surface area. Mycorrhiza increases surface area for absorption of water, nutrient. So that is a kind of a symbiosis, not the amensalism. Now nostoc. Nostoc is a blue-green algae or cyanobacteria. Nostoc, anabena, this all example comes into that. And it is basically a symbiotic. This is also wrong because it's example of symbiosis. So the here answer will be D, none. Right? Answer will be D, none will be there. Okay, the Apurva is asking question, why isn't honeybee and flower relation or symbiotic relation? Both are benefiting here. Then why not symbiotic? I'll explain that. Honeybee and the flower will not call it symbiotic because symbiotic relation is one where there is a physical attachment. Both the partners live together. They remain together. They remain together. If they don't remain together, the benefit will not be derived. Like for example, rhizobium bacteria. For a plant to get the nitrogen, like leguminous plant, legumes, it is compulsory for rhizobium bacteria to be in the root nodules. Root nodules of leguminous plant which contain the rhizobium bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria. It becomes compulsion, obligation. That is called symbiosis. In case of honeybee, See, honeybee can go to a flower, it gets the nectar as a food. And in the process, the pollination of the flower, from the flower takes place. But they don't live together. They're not living together. Coral and the zooxanthellae. It is very compulsory for coral to have marine algae zooxanthellae. If marine algae zooxanthellae is not with the coral, coral will die. Death of the coral will take place. That's what it is, a symbiotic relation. Right? So I'll come to that one. That honeybee, what Apurva is asking, that honeybee and flower relation, why can't we call it symbiosis there? Symbiosis happens when both the partners live together. It becomes a compulsory to live together. In case of honeybee and flower, honeybee just temporarily come to the flower to take the nectar, and in the process pollination takes place. But they don't live together. There's not a permanent association. But what happens in case of rhizobium and leguminous plant? What happens with the coral and the zooxanthellae? There's a permanent association physically to get the benefit. Correct? So I'll come to that one. Second question, cyanobacteria and fungi. Yes, symbiosis can be there. You can say that, but I am not given the option here. See, in this question, you have to select only one option. In question number 2, you have to only select one option. So, one form of mutualism is symbiosis. Symbiosis is a type of mutualism. You can understand that symbiosis is a form of mutualism where two partners live together to get the benefit. I'll come to that part. I'm very soon coming to that. Now let's look at here. It will make all clear. All your doubts will be cleared by this. That's what I took the question there. All your doubts will be cleared now. Now, let me explain, give you every aspect in the writing part of it. Now let's look at here. Just now let's understand that. So the complex interaction which happens in living world in terms of biotic interactions, so we can divide into two parts. The two ways which we can understand the biotic interaction. First is the positive interaction. Just copy this flowchart, the flowchart which I am drawing, please copy this one. Positive interaction, and second is the negative interaction. There are two types of interaction commonly found in living organism, living world, that is a positive interaction, negative interaction. Now what happens in positive interaction? The first what I am giving here is a mutualism. Now mutualism is that type of interaction where both the partner A and B both benefit each other, plus and plus. When both partners, both species, they benefit each other, that is a mutualism. Now in the form of mutualism, there are two types of mutualism is there. One is symbiosis. Now symbiosis also A and B both benefit each other. But what is the symbiosis here? Symbiotic relation here as a type of mutualism is what comes here is that two species have to live together. It has to have a compulsion to live together to derive the benefit. They have to live together. That is they have to have physical relation associated with each other to get the benefit. So symbiosis is a form of mutualism where the two species live together. Like for example, lichens can be symbiotic also there. You are right. But I have not given that option as a symbiotic, but I have given you mutualism. So the best answer, sometime in the question you have to select best answer, best possible answer. So there in that question number 2, the best possible answer is mutualism. Now what comes here? Second type of interaction what comes here, that is a proto-cooperation. In terms of mutualism, there is another type of mutualism, what is called proto-cooperation. What is proto-cooperation? Again, there are two partners, two species, and they benefit each other. They help each other, they benefit each other. But try to understand, what is the proto-cooperation? Proto-cooperation is that kind of mutualism where there is no compulsion to live together always. For some time, they come together, they live together, get the benefit, but then they separate. So here, what happens in this case is that two species, I'm writing in bracket, two species live together, right, for some time. They come together, they live together for some time to get benefit and then separate. See here what happens, it will not affect the survival. In symbiosis what happens? It affects the survival. In proto-cooperation does not affect the survival. You can say it here, it affects the survival. If they're not living together, rhizobium bacteria is not in the root nodule of legume plant will not get nitrogen. If algae, zooxanthellae doesn't live in the coral polyp, the coral will die, will not get the food, right? So that is a part of survival. But in case of proto-cooperation, does not affect the survival. It does not, in proto-cooperation what happens, in that mutualism, survival is not a problem there. They come together to get some additional benefit, they get the benefit and then they go away. Hermit crab enters into the shell of the anemone. See, sea anemone cannot move. Sea anemone cannot move. Just like coral, they are sessile. Sessile means they cannot move. They don't have locomotory organs. They cannot swim. They cannot move. So they are fixed to a place. Sea anemone, I'm talking about sea anemone. Sea anemone cannot move, so they are fixed at a place. Hermit crab can go anywhere. Hermit crab can go anywhere and find food and survive. Anemone has got tentacles. Sea anemone has got tentacles. Anemone is fixed at a place, it has got tentacles. And it catches the food, eat and survive. Fixed at a place. Hermit crab can go anywhere and can get food and survive. Now what happens? The crab enters inside the shell of the anemone and take it from one place to another. Now what happens? Whatever the sea anemone catch, the food, that get transferred to the crab. Crab get added food, get added benefit. And after some time the crab will drop. Crab will just drop the anemone and walk away. जब तक साथ है ठीक है, जब तक साथ नहीं है तब भी ठीक है. कई बार, you know that in human beings live in relationship, they come together, they live together, and then after that separate. Proto-cooperation is like that, right? Proto-cooperation is this kind of relation. Then now comes here another one, what is called as a commensalism. Commensalism. What I've already mentioned, that commensalism is what? A and B, where one get benefit, other is unaffected, neutral. So what happens commensalism? One species is benefited. One species is benefited, other is unaffected. Other is neither benefited nor harmed, is unaffected. Is unaffected. That is called as commensalism. Now negative interaction, you know that. First negative interaction which I am talking about is the competition. Competition for food, competition for survival, right? What happens in competition? Two organisms or two species, both are minus and minus, both are negative. Both are negative. Let's say here competition can be two types. A, the first will be here Inter-specific competition. Inter-specific competition. What do you mean by inter-specific competition? That is between two types of species. Between two types of species, they compete for the food. That is called inter-specific competition. For example, tiger and lion. Tiger and the lion, that is two different species. That is called inter-specific. Now second is intra-specific. Intra, I-N-T-R-A, intra-specific competition. Intra-specific competition. Now what is intra-specific competition? This competition takes place between members of same species. Individuals of same species, they compete for food, for light, for getting all the resources. That is intra-specific, between members of same species. Let's say, for example, here, let's say 5 tigers. In a given area, 5 tigers for a single deer. The prey is only one. One deer, that is the prey, and 5 tigers, same species, 5 tigers, they compete for the prey, that is one deer. Now second, what comes here? Predation. You know the prey-predatory relationship. Predation. What happened? The predator kill the prey and get the food, that is positive. Where the prey is killed, deer or cow or buffalo or goat, they all get killed, that is a minus, negative. So here the predation, that is here killing for food. Here there is the killing for food. Killing prey for food. A predator kills the prey for food, right? Tiger and goat, or lion or goat, you can take any example there. Now what comes, the third one is called parasitism. Parasite. Parasitism, parasite live on the host. A parasite lives on the host. So parasitism, what happens? The parasite get all the benefit, whereas the host is harmed. Host is negative. Atithi kab jaoge? A guest comes to your house and is not willing to leave your house. Right? एक कोई भी गेस्ट आपके घर आ जाता है और आपके घर में ही रहना चाहता है, जाना नहीं चाहता है. आप उनको कितनी भी भगाओ, वो भागना नहीं चाहता है. अतिथि कब जाओगे? Right? That is called as a parasite and the host. वो है ना आजकल बड़ा एक अच्छा सा शब्द चर्चा में रहा है. प्रधानमंत्री ने है ना संसद में बताया, पार्लियामेंट में, आंदोलन जीवी, परजीवी. Parasites are परजीवी, which live on others. They are called parasite. So nowadays these all words have become very common. So this parasite lives on the host and get all the benefit there. So what is parasitism here? Like derives nutrition. Here it derives nutrition from host. A host can be animal, host can be plant, right? Host can be any such plant or animal. Let's take few examples here. I'm giving one example of a parasite. You all know that. Very about lice, juए, on monkey, on birds, even human lices. Then you know this blood-sucking leech, jonk. You know that on the body of the animal, leech, it sucks out the blood. Right? Is a part of the parasite. Then you know malaria parasite. Malaria is caused by a parasite, what is called protozoa plasmodium, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, right? The malarial parasite, which cause disease in human being. So the mosquito, female Anopheles mosquito, is just a vector. Mosquito is not a parasite. एक मच्छर क्या से क्या नहीं कर जाता है. Dengue, malaria, all this one. But the machhar is not a Mosquito is not a host, or mosquito is not the parasite. Mosquito is just a vector, transmits the disease. Malarial parasite, malaria in human beings, female anopheles mosquito. Then I'll give you example here. This malarial parasite, let me write here. Malarial parasite is called Plasmodium, right? Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale. They are the malarial parasites. Then plant, Cuscuta. There is a kind of plant, you'll find a rainforest and all, Cuscuta. In Hindi it is called Amar Bel, right? Cuscuta. It has the roots by which it sucks out the nutrient from the plant. Cuscuta is a plant parasite. Now opposite of commensalism is amensalism. Opposite of commensalism is amensalism. What is commensalism? Commensalism is where one get benefit, other is neutral. Right? Like for example here, one example is well and Imora fish or barnacle. You'll find barnacle is attached with on the body of the well. So barnacle is positive, well is neutral. Shark and sucker fish. Shark is unaffected, neutral. Sucker fish is positive. Both these examples are commensalism. Commensalism. Now opposite of commensalism is amensalism. Opposite of commensalism is amensalism. Now what happens in amensalism? One get negative, one get harmed, minus. Other is neutral, unaffected, zero. One get harmed, other is unaffected. Amensalism is where one is harmed, other is unaffected. Minus and zero. Right? Now here the very good example I have given you that small plant. Like surprisingly any time, for example, wind or a bird can drop a seed and the small plant grow up under the big tree. So big tree gets all sunlight, water, everything is taking that. But that small plant which come into the soil and grow, it will be not getting enough water, food, nutrient, anything, and will die. So a small plant under a big tree is a very good example of amensalism. Opposite of amensalism is commensalism. What is commensalism? Where one get benefit, other is unaffected. I hope this makes you clear. It is given in your handout also there. Right? It is also given in the handout. Whatever is I am discussing that is also available in the handout. Right? This question what I have given there. Please copy this one. I will again give you revision of that, learning in the classroom. So that you will be, why I am writing the question on the whiteboard? I am writing question on the whiteboard to give you more understanding part of it. You are able to understand, right? You are able to understand if you know the question, what type of questions can be asked. It becomes easier for you to understand the concept. And there will be direct question will be there, right? In examination, questions will be very direct. It will not be something which will not be able to solve. You will be able to solve such question there. And again, it is an important topic for all types of exam. Not only UPSC exam, but even the state level exam. When you appear the state level PCS exam, again there also the question can be asked. Right? So now let's look at here. What I'll do here, just for your entertainment, BBC World, BBC Earth. Government of India is now going for bringing the cheetah from Africa to India. Right? So I'll play you this interesting video from BBC World where 3 cheetahs prey upon an ostrich.
Kenya, famous for its big cats. the supreme hunters. Cheetahs specialize in hunting at speed. Though fast, they're fragile creatures built to sprint after small prey. They don't have the strength or weight of a lion to bring down larger animals. This male is different. He doesn't hunt alone. He's learnt that there is strength in numbers. But here, there are not just two, but 3 cheetahs. A band of brothers. They have changed their tactics, and by doing so, have taken their prey by surprise. They have learnt that, working together, they can bring down large prey. An ostrich, a bird that towers over a cheetah and is more than twice as heavy. It can't fly to escape danger, but it can lash out with a deadly kick. A female, unaware as yet of any danger. Even with 3 of them, this is still highly risky. If one gets injured, the other 2 couldn't hope to tackle such large prey. On the other hand, if they get it right, the rewards are huge. The male has spotted one of the brothers, but only one. It's not too worried. Then suddenly there are 3. The female is slower to realize the danger, and the cheetahs switch targets. It takes the combined effort and weight of all 3 brothers to bring down this powerful bird. Even now, the ostrich could land a fatal kick. So far, the brothers are winning. Ostriches have yet to find a way to foil such tactics.
This one, BBC Earth, is a very interesting series is there. Whenever you get time, then please, watch this video series here, Story of Life. It's by Sir David Attenborough. David Attenborough, who has given the voice in the background there. And it's a very interesting one. You have a Story of Life and BBC Earth. You'll find a lot of things are there given there. And I've just shown you one of the very important, documentary where you have a predation. Now we want to bring cheetah from Namibia to India. 50 years back, cheetah used to be found in India. The fastest running animal, it was used to found in India. But then cheetah became extinct from India. Right? Now we want to reintroduce cheetah back to India. In Madhya Pradesh, there's a place called Kuno Palpur. In MP, we want to bring the cheetah back to India. And we are bringing the African cheetah to India. Right? Supreme Court of India has already permitted the government to bring the cheetah from Africa to India. So that is again from current affairs. I have given you the predation part of it. Okay, I have taken the note of your doubts or your question there. I have seen the question. Okay, what I'll do, I'll first teach you the concept, then I'll give you the question. All right, so from now onward, what I'll do, first I'll give you the concept in the classroom, then I'll give you the question, so that you are able to solve. I was doing other way around because to test that how much knowledge you have. Right, why I was giving you first question and then I was giving you the answer. The reason being that you will always remember it. I'm basically looking for in terms of psychological aspect. You know what is psychological aspect? If you have a question and you are unaware, you don't know, you don't have the answer of that, and then you get the answer, you will remember that you were not able to solve that question because you were not aware of this particular term or meaning of such kind of a concept there. And that will always be remembered till the examination. So I was doing that one. But again, since few of you are not very comfortable with that, so I'll change my tactics. Right? So first I'll teach you concept, then I'll give you the question. Not a problem there. I'm like whatever you feel that, right? Okay, I must first teach you, then give you a question. That is most of the time you do the same thing. Right? Most of the time you do the same thing. You first read a textbook, you read a chapter, then you solve a question, right? I was trying to first prime, give you jhatka. What is something called jhatka? Huh? The question. When you see the question there, I am not knowing the answer. So you're having some kind of a surprise element. And then when I'm giving you the answer, when I'm giving the explanation through the answer, you are learning. You're getting to learn there. You're trying to learn that. And I'm 100% sure you'll remember all these three questions. These questions, what I gave on the whiteboard, you'll remember it. Its choice is yours. I'm okay with anything. You want me to first teach you, then give you a question, I'm okay with that also. And if you want that first I gave you question to, awaken you, right? To grab your attention and awaken you and then give you the answer there. Its choice is yours. I am comfortable with everything. Right. So that's what, so I'm getting the response in there. Okay, that's right there. So again, that depends on the persons to person, how you want to go ahead with that. Because some of the people I know, they are the beginners. I know there are few students who are just, kacha. We call them kacha. Such kind of bacha is the kacha, right? Just the beginner, right? For a beginner, it becomes very difficult, and they psychologically get, nervous. Oh, I don't know this answer. So I don't want to, psychologically demotivate you. So that's what I did that one. So anyway, so many of you are saying older one. So we'll see into that. Now let's look at here. So old is gold. Good, very good. So I'm happy that at least you are able to understand, what I would like to convey there. And I want to connect with all of you. See, first class, what happens in first class? Most of the students will come with all excitement. Right? With all excitement, enthusiasm, they will come to the class. I was to see that who is this guy? Ye kaun naya aadmi aa gaya, right? Who is this naya teacher? To see, everybody will come there. I remember the first class, right? And then everybody was there. Very, it was full of energy and everything. I can see in the response chat. Second day, number came down. Few of them went off, right? Now then again, third class, you will find that the numbers came, but in between some of this dropped out. I'll tell you that. Those who drop out, those who live in between there, right? I don't know how they are managed. Either they are aware of it, all the concepts, or they are not able to understand, whatever may be the case. But giving up is not a good sign, right? One must always keep on fighting till the last, like ostrich, right? The video of the ostrich and cheetah. Ostrich kept on fighting till the last, right? Till the last moment. So even if the concept is difficult and you are learning a concept for the first time, you should not give up. you shall not give up, right? You have to try to learn it. And again, you have to read and revise. I have already given you handout. Please go through the handout. Now let's come to this handout only, right? Let's come to the handout. It will be visible to you. You can see the handout here. Now in the handout, after this one, part of ecological productivity, you have the concept of biotic interaction. Now see here. You have 1.9. You have in 1.9 biological interaction. 1.9 you have a biological interaction. Right? It has come to your screen. You can see there. I am marking on the handout. What is given here? These are the manner in which species interact with each other. And these interactions can be interspecific, interaction with different species, or can be intraspecific, interaction between same species. What is said here? This type of biological interaction or biotic interaction can be interspecific, interaction between two types of species, or can be intraspecific, that means interaction among the same species. Right, very important terms have been given. Now, you have a table here given. In Vision IS material 1.9.1, you have a types of biotic interaction food web. So 0, no effect, minus detrimental, plus beneficial. And you are given with example. Species 1 and 2, effect, comments. Now look at here, negative interaction, amensalism. Whatever I have explained on the whiteboard and whatever I have given as a flow chart, you can find in table. So what happened? One species minus, others is there. So what is given? One species inhibited, while the other species is unaffected. And now you can see the comment here. The bread mold fungi, penicillium, from where the penicillin, the antibiotic penicillin was derived. From bread mold fungi, that is penicillium, produce penicillin, an antibiotic substance which inhibits the growth of bacteria. Who gets harmed? Bacteria get harmed. Bacteria is not able to grow because of the penicillin, antibiotic. But who generates the penicillin? Is given by penicillium, the fungi. So penicillium is neutral, but bacteria is detrimental, inhibit there. So that's minus and 0. Another example. A large tree shades a small plant, retarding the growth of the small plant. I have given you this example. The small plant has no effect on the large tree. Right? Then predation. Right? Plus and minus. Predator gets the benefit, whereas the prey is detrimental. So one species predator benefits while the second species prey is harmed and inhibited. Now like predators like leopards, tigers, cheetahs use speed, teeth, claws to hunt and kill their prey. Predators help in maintaining species diversity in community. Very, very important point. Predators help in maintaining species diversity in a community by reducing the intensity of competition among competing prey species. What is the role of a tiger? Tiger controls the population of herbivores. If there is no tiger, if there is no carnivore, there is no predator, what will happen? The deer population or herbivore population will increase very, very fast. And there will be overcrowding in that area, that habitat. So a predator helps in reducing the overcrowding by killing the herbivores and eating them, right? Control the population. Parasitism, now see here. Parasitism. Beneficial to one species, the parasite get benefit, and harmful to the other species, that is a host. Now look at here the example. Parasitism involves parasite living in or on living species called the host. Parasite can live inside the host or on the host, on the surface of the host. Right? A parasite gets its nourishment and offers shelter from its host. Example, tapeworm, right? Roundworm, malarial parasite, many bacteria, fungi, and viruses Somebody has asked me in the response, difference between virus and parasite. Viruses are also parasites. They kill the host. COVID-19 virus, once it enters the cell, it multiplies and kills the cells. The cells die, death of the cells, and death of the human body. So viruses are also parasites. The virus enter the host, enter the cell, and destroy the cell as a parasite. So viruses are common. Now what is example of parasite for humans? Tapeworm, roundworm, malarial parasite, many bacteria, fungi, and viruses are common parasites of humans. Female mosquito is not considered a parasite. I have said female Anopheles mosquito is a vector which transmits the malarial parasite to humans, although it needs our blood for reproduction. Why? Because it does not live on the host. The mosquito doesn't live on the host. Mosquito only has that particular malarial parasite and it just transmits to the human body, to inside the human, where it takes the blood there. Competition. Both are minus, negative. Adversely affect both species. Competition occurs when two populations or species both need a vital resource that is in short supply. The important resource, the vital resource is in short supply. Their competition happens there. Woodpeckers and squirrel, very good example. Woodpecker and squirrels, they compete for nesting rights in the same holes and spaces in trees. In a given tree, in a given hole, woodpecker and squirrel, they compete each other to occupy that hole in a tree there. Lions and cheetahs of the African savanna, they compete for the same antelope and gazelle prey. Lion and cheetah. Right? Now you can see positive interaction there. Commensalism. Commensalism, one is benefited, other is unaffected. One species, the commensal, benefit, while the other species, the host is neither harmed nor inhibited. And the example I have already given, suckerfish attaches to a shark. This helps the suckerfish get protection. Suckerfish gets protected from other carnivorous aquatic species there. A free ride as well as a meal from the leftover of the shark meal. Whatever shark eats, the leftover, suckerfish get the food. And also free ride from one place to another in the ocean. And also get protection from other predators. So suckerfish is benefited. The shark does not, however, get any benefit. Shark is not benefited. And also shark is not adversely affected by this association. Another example of commensalism is relationship between trees and epiphytic plant. In rainforest, tropical rainforest, you will find epiphytic plants over the tree. Right? So epiphytic plant get benefit, the tree is unaffected. Where it happens? In the rainforest and all. Epiphytes, they struggle for sunlight, space and all. Now mutualism, now see here. Mutualism. Whatever I have explained, that is given in the handout, plus and plus. Interaction is favorable to both species. Sea anemone gets attached to the shell of hermit crab for the benefit of transport. For the benefit of transport and obtaining new food. While the anemone provides camouflage and protect utilizing the stinging cell to the hermit crab. So what is this interaction called as? Hermit crab and sea anemone? That is a proto-cooperation. So one form of mutualism is proto-cooperation. Hermit crab and the sea anemone. Now look at here under. Some mutualisms are so intimate that the interacting species can no longer live without each other, as they depend totally on each other to survive. कुछ संबंध ऐसे घने हो जाते हैं, इतना ज्यादा अटैचमेंट हो जाता है कि एक दूसरे के बिना रहना पॉसिबल नहीं होता है. Right? Yes, did you understand that? The intimate relation. such an intimate relation where both partners एक दूजे के लिए, they cannot live without it. That is what is called as symbiosis. Right? If one partner leaves, the other, very sad. There was one movie, Shahid Kapoor played that role of, that was in Arjun Reddy. Arjun Reddy, you know, Pyar, Mohabbat, Love, right? Arjun Reddy movie, right? Where you have, that's a Telugu movie, which was made into Bollywood movie. Shahid Kapoor played the role. What is the name of Arjun Reddy? What is the name of the Bollywood movie that Shahid Kapoor played that remake of Arjun Reddy? What is the name of the movie? Nobody is giving that. Kabir Singh. No. Kabir Singh. Acha, Kabir Singh. Yes. Right. I'm just jokingly I'm saying. ठीक है, मैं मजाक से कह रहा हूँ. That jokingly I'm saying that. So symbiosis. What is symbiosis? The relationship is compulsory. They have to live together. Coral and zooxanthellae. You have example here. Coral, lichen. Lichen is also example of symbiotic. Somebody was telling that in question or two has to be symbiosis. But symbiosis is a type of mutualism. Symbiosis is a type of mutualism, right? So here, the symbiosis and symbiosis, you require compulsion. Proto-cooperation, no compulsion. So I can say proto-cooperation is non-compulsory mutualism. Non-compulsory. Whereas symbiosis is a compulsory mutualism. Right? And good example is here, coral and zooxanthellae. Now again, one more relation is neutralism. I have not written on the whiteboard. Neutralism. 0 and 0. It hardly happens in nature that two species will not interact if they are living together in a given habitat. Right? So neither species affect the other. True neutralism is extremely unlikely. In the nature, in a habitat, in an ecosystem, true neutralism is unlikely. Wherever the species are there, some form of interaction exists, direct or indirect. Sometimes there may be indirect kind of a relationship. Right? So this is what is given here. Right? What is lichen? Lichen is a symbiotic relation between cyanobacteria and fungi. Blue-green algae and fungi, they live together. That makes the lichen or lichen. Right? That makes the lichen or lichen there. Green color, there, green color, brown color. You'll find on the, let me show you the photograph here. I think you would have seen this one. I'm just, see why I'm going through the handout in the classroom, so that you also go back like after the class and read about that. This is the lichen. A lichen or lichen consists of a simple photosynthesizing organism, usually a green algae or cyanobacterium surrounded by filament of a fungus. This is how it looks like on the tree. You would have seen this kind of a, right? This guy Lakshya is asking that. This is the example lichen or lichen. Right? Clear there? So I have done this exercise like going through the handout, the reason being very simple that this handout contains all what I am teaching in the classroom. You can consider it as a class note. At the same time, whatever I am writing on the whiteboard also as a class note, and you can go through that. Right? Clear there? Is it clear, everybody? Right. I know you all are very good students, and I love you all, right? You all are very good students, very cooperative, very enthusiastic, very much motivated, very much jigyasu. You have a lot of jigyasa. That's a really good thing, right? That is a really good thing. So please keep it up, this jigyasa. It will help you out there. So my question, I am now coming to the question of the class, your homework question. The homework question of this classroom is that discuss concept of, I'm giving a direct question, ecological, so that you will read and write the answer. ecological productivity. Discuss the concept of ecological productivity with examples. With examples. This kind of question will not be asked in mains exam, but again I am giving you because since you all are just starting the preparation of the environment subject, so for your reading and writing exercise, as a practice of your writing exercise, so I am giving you a direct question, discuss concept of ecological productivity or ecosystem productivity with examples. Right? Answer in 150 words, not more than 150 words, 10 marks question. Right? 10 marks question. You have to read and write the answer. Okay. I have got the reply from some of you. Thank you, Shubham. Right, Shubham Saxena has replied back. So that is good. Clear there? So please write the answer by reading ecological succession. You come to the next class. Next class, I will be discussing ecological succession and biogeochemical cycle. Water cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, sulfur cycle, all we will cover in the next class. So next class we are going to go through three concepts: ecological succession, biogeochemical cycle, and third will be ecosystem services. What services comes into that, right? And next class will complete the ecological topics. Clear there? So in Vision IAS, when I start the subject, first 4 class, I take first 4 classes on those basic areas. What I've covered 3 classes, food chain, food web, ecosystem and all those concepts. So first 4 classes I take on the ecology. So we have completed 3 classes. The 4th class will be really important from pollution point of view. Pollution, global warming, climate change, and ozone depletion, carbon cycle, water cycle, nitrogen cycle, sulfur cycle, phosphorus cycle, all the nutrient cycles, biogeochemical cycles. The theory part of it will be important in terms of understanding pollution. So that is a very important topic for prelims exam. And every year, direct, indirect, questions are asked. And second topic will be ecological succession, development of new ecosystem. Right? Development of new ecosystem, ecological succession. Right? And then we'll learn about ecosystem services and biodiversity. Once we are done with this subject, we'll start the topic of biodiversity. Very, very important. Then we'll go to the important area of UPSC exam, both pre-exam and the mains exam, on the topic of biological diversity. Right? Is it clear here? So this is what I have done here. So we'll stop the class here. I know that I have tortured you. So all my torture, at least you will be able to tolerate, and you will read and be prepared. Right? So we'll meet in the next class with new zeal, with new motivation. And please be safe. Corona number is rising very, very fast. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Right? Stay wherever you are there. Don't just keep on roaming around. Right? And focus on your study part. Right? So we'll meet in the next class. All right? God bless you. Thank you.